Newsfirst, Newsline with Fernando.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. Now then, Sri Lanka is in deep trouble. Every time we speak about things, this matter always comes up. Corruption. Corruption in Sri Lanka. Why does it happen? Let's find out, shall we? My guest this evening is Mr. Basil Fernando, Director of Policy and Programs at the Asian Legal Resource Center in Hong Kong. He's right here in Sri Lanka, and we're delighted to have him back on our program after about 3 years, thanks to COVID-19. Very good evening to you, Mr. Basil Fernando, but you're also a former senior UN official.
Yes.
And welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Did you miss not being able to travel to Sri Lanka during COVID?
Well, yes, in a troubled time, you know, particularly the COVID time, you feel for the people. And
but how about this other thing? I'll ask you this and then I'll come back to the main thing about corruption. Did you miss not being present during Aragale?
Well, into sense today, I think I almost daily followed Aragale.
So you were there?
Yeah. This is the thanks to the communication change, revolution in the world. You can follow almost every event that is going on.
So actually the global digital divide is very small now.
That's right. And you share the anxieties.
Yes.
And also sadness that goes with, you know, loss of, liberties. On the other hand, as a person who has been always advocating human rights, there was a moment of elation because people have at last shown their ability to rise and did it so peacefully.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the great achievements that this country has made. And I did not see it as purely beginning in the last February, March. I saw this coming long time ago. It is only surprising that it took so long.
But it's very ironic that the people. Obviously, we are the People's Channel, and we put out matters that are close to the people's lives, how it affects them, how it benefits them, and so on. And tonight on the same channel, after the news, a program, Face the Nation, with Shami Rasuddin, Freedom Under Siege. This program today, with you in the seat here, is corruption in Sri Lanka. Why does it happen? Programs like these are happening every day. That is because Sri Lanka is really in this serious situation. So, Mr. Fernando, tell me, why does corruption happen in Sri Lanka?
If the at a certain point, a government decides that a system that allows corruption is better than a system that fight against corruption, then you have invited your enemy to your house. And that is what happened in 1978. We changed our law to expand the space of corruption. That is a constitution, and I'm not saying it for the first time. I have been saying this at least from about 1992. Our constitution was made to make it possible to allow corruption and take away the kind of restrictions that limited extent we have achieved.
And thank you for your questions. Please send them in. 0772 300 305. It comes straight through here, either by WhatsApp or SMS. It's all the same to us. whatever you're comfortable with, as long as you've got your glasses on and you type it properly, we can read it then. You say that, this protest was peaceful, and you watched these from outside, thanks to technology. So then why is it, Mr. Fernando, that our president, because it is him, is pursuing the young Aragale people, whilst their own people who incited violence are walking around scot-free?
Because that also has a history. There is for the first time when the people show that they are more conscious than ever about certain problems and they are willing to intervene, certain others get frightened. This is a reaction from very extreme fear.
Right.
And this is not healthy.
Yeah.
The wiser situation, particularly after this kind of people's uprising,
Yes.
was to seek cooperation.
Right.
To go out of the way and see and talk and say we are willing to compromise. You all are asking for certain changes. We may not be able to give you 100% because of the economic situation and all that.
Yeah.
But we will go as much as possible. We will come down and we will show a sense of cooperation, goodwill, and say, and of course this very same thing they said in the opposition.
Mm.
They said we understand that this is very just that the people rise.
But Mr. Fernando, in this book that you've, this handbook, a teaching guide, Justice Deficit, Systemic Disorder in Sri Lanka, which, thank you for giving this to us. Why is corruption possible? Rules are in place, but it appears no enforcement. How does this happen?
Because, see, these sometimes the people have a wrong understanding about law, as if law can get enforced itself. Law is a human instrument which is enforced through very small measures.
Right.
And these anybody who is serious about keeping the law as their guide, they will spend for that. One of the things that we have failed throughout is, what are the three, institutions that can protect the law?
The law enforcement, you mean?
Law enforcement.
Yes.
First is the investigative capacity.
Right.
That is there, which it should be impeccable.
Right.
And we were developing that. In the early part of this century, the last century, we were developing a good system.
Right.
Where the eminent people were learning the art of investigation, and they were dealing with very big problems. But there was one area we never developed. That is looking efficiently into financial corruption. The murder, rape, at least at that time, we did well.
But it's so, just to digress ever so slightly, when you're talking of rape, the judicial process is so blessed slow that, in the end, we may find that the rape victim, the woman, might end up in court finally with her husband and children. And imagine what that will do to the children's mindset.
See,
because it takes so long.
See, when I said that what I said was it was efficient.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
It was, not that it is efficient now.
Right.
See, in this book that you have, there is a figure of a hen, cartoon.
Yeah.
And that hen lays an egg only once in 20 years.
Yeah.
And that is how our, the delivery of final settlement of final cases.
Yeah.
I have been dealing with cases which has gone on for 24 years a simple murder case.
Yeah.
And so many other cases, which just even one of the select committees of the former government,
Yeah.
They said that at least 15 and a half years is the average delay.
Yeah.
So these delays are themselves a product of wanting an inefficient system. Why? Because efficient system is a threat to people who wants to use arbitrary power over the legislative power, the law-based power. Instead, what we did was we gave expanded for politicians and the people who ruled. You can do whatever you like. We take away the regulations. We take away the rules that we made for, with the world experience.
The checks and balances.
Balances and all these things that were developed, we remove. Then there's nobody to catch us.
So is there a law enforcement crisis, where it's the undermining of policing, undermining of prosecution, and undermining of the judiciary?
To say that there is a crisis is understatement. We have something catastrophic in terms of law enforcement, in terms of our policing system, in terms of our prosecution system. And of course, the judiciary, the question is, the legislature limited the powers of judiciary in many things. For example, judicial review was removed. And judicial review is what protects the independence of judiciary. So, with the weakening of the power, now for example, the prevention of terrorism, way it is used now. If the judicial review process was open, I'm sure any reasonable court will hold this is a bad law. The judicial review means to tell the legislature, you have made a bad law and we are annulling that, we are cancelling that. That is the judicial review, and that is why it's called, the three branches of government. One branch has a right when the legality, law is transgressed by the other two, say, you can't do that. This game goes on the basis that there is rule of law in this country. We have agreed, the most fundamental notion of any democratic country, any republic, is that the law is higher than the ruler. That is how monarchy was abolished. And the man who wrote most about that in...
but I find that anomalous, because that might be so in the books, but we have rules like you can't prosecute the head of state until after he or she has finished her term, for example.
That is here.
Yes, but this is what I mean. In Sri Lanka, many things are anomalous. For example, Mr. Fernando, I put it to you that the PTA, the Prevention of Terrorism Act, is used extensively, even though everyone in this country knows that there is no real terrorism in Sri Lanka. Dissent, yes, but the PTA, strangely, doesn't even specify what a terrorist is. So how come this very thing is being used against the people who have been dissenting?
That is why it is said that the kind of action is outside the rule of law. If the ruler thinks that rule of law is not the foundation of our law, right? Then there is no way to say you are doing wrong. So the foundational notion of a republic is that the rule of law must prevail. So if the rule of law, say the ruler is higher than the law, so that's the end of it. And that is why, the man who wrote most about this in America, about this whole process, he said in England, that time, the king is the law.
Mm.
In United States, law is the king. In this country, no longer is the law the king. And once you make that change, you must take consequences.
And when we come back after this break, we'll be discussing with Mr. Fernando, distrust should be the guiding principle upon which the legal system should be built. We'll see you after this break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Anka ege arakshita iti ginipetti. Surya ginipetti.
12 Sri Lankan women taken to Oman via Abu Dhabi using tourist visa reported missing. CID launches investigation. Sri Lanka planning on domestic debt restructuring. Prime Minister says no provisions for elections. SJB counters saying polls can be held after February. Police chief apologizes in court for delayed enforcement on a court order.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Anka ege arakshita iti ginipetti. Surya ginipetti. Lovatama eliya denna dilena Surya. Amataka vinnema නැති namage Surya. Kohotin dalvena gini kura Surya. Kavadat namagat gini petti Surya. Kavadat namagat gini petti Surya. Kavadat kotanat samage vishwashe dinagat. Anka ege arakshita iti gini petti. Surya gini petti.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with Mr. Basil Fernando, the Director of Policy and Programs at the Asian Legal Resource Center based in Hong Kong. Distrust should be the guiding principle upon which the legal system should be built. True? False?
Is absolutely correct. The constitutional law, fundamental principle is that power. Nobody is really worthy of holding the power. Power in any field is dangerous. If you have electricity, without controlling the electricity, you will have houses burned down. And that happened in the history of electricity. You get at the very beginning, when after they started using, there were houses being burned down because there was no controls. So the control of power can happen only when you know this is a dangerous thing.
Mm.
So you give power to somebody because you need a government. Power has to be given to by consent of the people, people give power.
Yes.
But at the same time, people say, we are giving it to you to do for our benefit, not to use it for our detriment.
Mm.
So, we are not giving you an absolute trust that you are such a wonderful person that you will be doing wonders in this world. We are giving the power, we have to give to somebody.
Yeah.
But we have so many methods should be allowed to us.
Yeah.
Where if you do wrong, we hold you responsible, and if necessary, we ask you to get out.
And human right, the first basic is the right to life. But in Sri Lanka, the food prices are up, earning power is down, and it is obviously so because of the contraction of the economy. So, who's destroying the economy?
Economy was, if you ask me how it happened in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
economy was destroyed by adopting a political system that will go against the controls that keeps an economy going. So a moment,
So
you
but
know,
that's destroying the economy.
that is the destroying of the economy.
Yeah.
The direct product result of
Yeah.
what happened in 1978 was, you know, by adopting this constitution, we broke down all the fences by which we could have protected our economy. Why it was done? Because certain people wanted certain barriers that are there in the political system to be removed. But they did not realize, or they knew but they ignored the fact that if you take away these safeguards, you are breaking not only the political system, you are breaking your economic system.
So but destroying the economy is, I put it to, a fundamental violation, and it is so reflected in the latest UN resolution. What should be done?
So what the ultimately, if your ruling system, the way you rule the country, destroys the economy, then you must address the first issue: how to stop this system being allowed to destroy your economy. That is, you must put the structure of the legal basis, that is the judicial, the police, prosecution, this basis of protecting the whole system is on this foundation.
So, so should negligence in that case, should it result in prosecution?
Of course, negligence of any sort is, if it leads to harm to the population, harm to a group of people, has to be stopped. And there is no other way to stop it than to punish and giving the message in the society, keeping the message in society. You have all the freedom in the world, but you have no right to harm. Don't harm. You know, you are not being elected to harm the nation.
Do you reckon that Sri Lanka will go the way of Cambodia then?
You know, I started telling that Sri Lanka will go the way to Cambodia from 1992. And I have consistently written this. And this is known to people who have followed our this thing. Because again you will see in Cambodia what happened was, he thought by removing the political structure, he will be powerful and his small party will be powerful to bring about huge changes in the economy.
So
but what happened? What happened?
Tell us what Pol Pot did.
What Pol Pot did was, you know, because of the various circumstances, there was a period of instability in Cambodia. Then the people who control collapse, you know, like Sihanouk the king and the American-backed, commander, the military, they all collapsed. There was no people to rule. Small group of people who are in the jungles walk in, and people said, "Oh, our saviors are coming." So they virtually, without any bloodshed, Pol Pot took over the power. But Pol Pot had a plan already. Plan was, you know, to get into the immediately do the things that they wanted to do without any other consideration. Very soon, economy collapsed. So the out of every 7 person died in Cambodia. Out of about 7 million people, more than 1 million people died of starvation.
In the first 3 years?
Just within 3 years. They had only 3 years.
Right.
From 75 to 78. 3 years, 1/7 of the whole issue of, I predicted that there's going to be this malnutrition and the starvation situation in Sri Lanka already in 1992. And I did it not as an economist. I am not an economist. I did not do that on the basis of a political this thing. I did it by studying the constitution. I said this constitution will create catastrophe in this country. And I am telling you now, we have not seen the worst yet.
There's worse to come?
Much, if you lesson to learn from Cambodia is that already see the university children are fainting without food. University, not the primary school.
The university students' lunch packet has gone up double. Double.
Yeah.
Interest rate is over 32%.
Yeah.
There's no way that without some form of subsidy that the staple diet of rice can come down.
So
and yet this government is, to me, in my personal view, they are hiding behind all these restrictions imposed by the IMF. The people are sending me messages. They're saying, why should we pay for the mistakes of the rulers? We don't see them having any sort of cutbacks. They're still carrying on in their la-di-da life. But I put it to you, you can comment. A good economy cannot exist with a bad legal system.
Absolutely. So that is a position that very easy to understand. Because you see, how can you run even a small business if you just allow everybody to rob that place? Because your legal system does not see what stops.
But is the legal system in our country, is it empowered to do all this? It seems to me that sometimes they had their hands tied up.
It been tied out in this way. If I am clever and if I wanted my own way, then how I do it is, I don't put money into the legal system. So you get people who are not, now say with the policing system, it's a public known fact that large number of people who are recruited are not qualified. So you, not only they are not even not trained, they are not trainable. The recruitment had been in that way. So the more and more when the economy situation is bad, you don't attract the best people into these things, because on the one hand salaries, they also lose their social prestige. The people who do this work need to be able to win the respect, but the people don't respect them because what they are doing is, they are being forced to do is something that the people don't like. So then, what you said about people leaving, this is very logical process. If where you live, survival is the struggle of our nature. So if your political system, your legal system, the economic system don't provide for your basic survival, and if you are qualified enough and you have alternatives, what do you do? Few people may, for the love of their country, may be willing to make a sacrifice and do something, but the majority will, they will look for other places, and that is what happened also in Cambodia. At the end, by the time we started working, we couldn't find people to be judges because level of education was about 5th standard, primary school.
And the others were all dead.
Some dead, others fled.
Some dead, others fled. Sounds like a good slogan.
Yeah.
But last question, but in a very, very quick answer, because we've got only a few seconds left. An independent commission of investigators must be there to address corruption and fraud like you have in Hong Kong.
See, the basic principle on which the Hong Kong system is based is that police should not be involved in the corruption commission even as investigators. In 1974, due to very wise report, with a lot of wisdom, that report was, after observing the situation, it was recommended that if you want to really to control this thing, it should be done by independent people who will be trained. They will be responsible for that institution. We will not take anybody upon the police, because if you want to stop corruption in any place to begin is having cleaning the police. But only an independent commission
can do that.
Basil
Fernando, it's been absolutely marvelous having you on the program. I do hope you have time before you go back to join us perhaps on our longer program, which is called Face the Nation, hosted by Shamir Rasuddin, starting, it's a new time, Wednesday, after the news today. But thank you very much. We much appreciate your
Thank you very much. I always be happy to be with you, in this.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's the way it was. It's now time for the primetime news, of course. Take care, and God bless you all.